And today we are talking about macros.
Really, macros are just your macronutrients. So they are the food that we eat in larger portions that give us energy for our body. They fuel our body. Carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about what each macronutrient does, and then you can decide for yourself how it fits into your eating patterns.
They are important.
They are important.
Yes.
I am a firm believer of not eliminating one or the other. I'm going to start with protein. There's meat-based protein, there's plant-based protein. When it comes to protein, meat sources are going to be higher in iron, but you don't have to only eat meat source protein. There's other type of proteins. You've got beans, legumes, things like that, split peas, edamame. I love lima beans. They all have protein. Definitely dairy has protein. Eggs has protein. They're good for you, but they do have protein. And then you've got things, the poultry, the meats, things like that, all are going to have protein in them. Protein helps with muscle, helps build muscle. And it also helps with hormone production. It's really important to have proteins. It helps keep you full. And so if you have a little bit of protein with meals and snacks, you're going to stay full a lot longer. And so protein.
But I have a question really quick. Another big thing right now is all these protein powders, these protein bars, supplements for natural food. So how do you feel about those?
I think they're good in moderation. I always will use that word. And also if you're going to have some protein powder, maybe add some fruit with it or add some spinach in your, they talk about adding things to your smoothie. Read the labels, see how much protein is in there. Honestly, for a meal, 20 to 30 grams is plenty to have. I would recommend for most people, maybe 15 to 25% of their daily intake is going to be protein.
That's good to know.
So carbohydrates. I love carbohydrates.
I love them too, but that word scares me to death.
It's like, they're afraid of carbohydrates.
It's like this scary thing behind you, just ready to scare you.
Think of carbohydrates as your body's preferred fuel source. Your body is saying, please give me some carbohydrates. That is what I can burn easily for fuel. In the right amounts, carbohydrates are very good for your body. They're good to fuel your body. And if you eliminate or cut them way down, you're missing out on some really good things like whole wheat bread, whole grain bread. Carbohydrates, give or take a little, should make up about 50% of your daily intake. So let's list some of them off.
Yes.
Fruits are a carbohydrate. They have natural sugar in them. Don't be afraid of the natural sugar in them. If you eat a whole apple with the peel, you're going to get some fiber with it. But think of the fruit as a whole fruit versus the fruit juice. If you drink a cup of apple juice, you're not getting the fiber, and you're getting probably 2 or 3 times or more the amount of sugar. Dairy, so milk has natural sugar in it. Lactose is a natural sugar in milk, and it's still good for you. Milk is still good for you. Dairy. And then other carbohydrates would be breads and grains, the rice, the pasta, those kind of things that people always think of with carbohydrates. They're not bad for you, just smaller portions. They're pretty high.
I'm going to ask a quick question while we're talking about milk. Low fat, 1%, 2%, whole milk.
Confusing.
Which is the best?
So there's a lot of research out there on dairy, and it all points to dairy as being very healthy for your body and easy for it to break down and use correctly. And so dairy fat isn't to blame for weight gain, but just think of, if you're going to drink whole milk, just remember it's got a lot more calories, and so you may want to give up some calories somewhere else. There's some low-fat dairy products I don't mind. I don't mind low-fat cottage cheese, so that's what I'll choose. So you're going to give up some calories when you do low-fat, but make sure you enjoy it, right? So drink what you like. Let's see, other carbohydrates would include the sweets, treats, desserts, things like that. So those would be in moderation. Have a small bite, have a little bit, have a half a brownie, and not have them all the time. But look at the carbohydrates with the most nutritional value, the things like the whole grains like I talked about, and then have them in the right portions with your meals. And that's the trick.
And another thing that you had mentioned earlier when you and I were talking is, like, we all need to enjoy life. I feel like I've missed out on a lot because I've always been on some sort of diet.
Yeah.
But like she mentioned, if you're in a social setting, don't be afraid to just cut that portion in half, right?
Yeah. And dessert, I love a couple of bites of a brownie, and by the time I'm at the end, it's like, oh goodness, that's a lot. The first couple bites are the best, so eat the first 2 bites, and
after that you don't feel so well.
It's not so good. But I've been at functions where there's a brownie there, and I will take a clean knife, I'll cut a piece off, and the next person that comes along almost always picks
Which
up
would be
the
me.
other half. People want the smaller portions. And fats, they are also good for us. They provide energy. They help us absorb certain vitamins. There are fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Now there's different kinds of fat, and we hear about healthy fats and cholesterol. Look at those healthy fats and eat them in moderation. Typically a diet is going to consist of about 25 to 30% of your diet is going to be made up of fats. But that is just the basics of macronutrients. They all play a role in our body. They're all good for us. It's having the right portions and amounts and balancing them out with the calorie intake that we're trying to get to, and then just enjoying eating and not having to overthink everything.
Yeah.
And then not eliminating. I guess that's one big point I want to make. Don't eliminate any of these healthy